Height matters. When it comes to finding success in dating as a man, your height is crucial. Your height is one of the largest determining factors in how attractive you are as a man. And that's just a fact. Everybody knows it. I know it. You know it. Your grandma knows it. Everybody knows it. A lot of people will deny it, mostly women, but it's true. It's just a fact. Your height matters. Women prefer taller men, period. Obviously, if you follow my channel at all, you know that I am 6'2", so I am a taller guy. And I also do not have any success with dating. In fact, I'm just a complete failure. I am what is known as a hugless, kissless virgin. I have had zero success with women throughout my entire life, and I'm 35 years old. So yeah, obviously, with me being 6'2" and all the dating struggles I've had throughout my life, it should be obvious that while height is crucial in how attractive a man is, it's not the be-all, end-all of male attractiveness, because I get a lot of comments, just saying, I'm a fake sell, or I'm lying about all these stories I tell and everything I say about my life. I'm just a fraud. I'm a liar. I'm a big fat phony. And people think this because how could a guy that is 6'2" tall struggle with dating? Well, look, let's talk about it. And specifically, let's talk about exactly how important height is when it comes to male attractiveness. Because yeah, obviously, I admit it's very important, but some of you are maybe overrating it a little bit, so let's get into it. I know a lot of you have seen this graph before, but here's some data for you. What this is showing is for different heights, what percentage of women on Bumble have their filter set to allow men of that height to be visible when they're swiping through. So basically, if you start right at the far left here, you see that about, 38% of women allow in their filter for a 7-foot tall man's profile to be shown for them. And if you look over here on the far, far right, you can see that basically 0% of women, maybe 1% of women allow for a 4'11" man's profile to be shown to them when they're browsing Bumble. So it's obvious looking at the data, you can see the peak is at 6'6", where you've got about 90% of women will allow in their filter for a man's profile at a height of 6'6" to be shown to them, right? And then if we look at my height, 6'2", that's also seems to be very preferable to women, as you've got about 80% of women allowing the height of 6'2" in their filter. Now, clearly the data shows that women heavily favor taller guys. Only about 30% of women include 5'11" in their height filter, which is ridiculous considering 5'11" is taller than average, or at the very least not below average, even in the tallest countries like Northern European countries and all that. But the thing that a lot of you are not considering is that women are horrible when it comes to judging a man's height. Women are just horrible at judging the size of anything, and that does include a man's height. And this is made worse by the fact that most men lie about their height, which I don't blame them for doing it, but most men add an extra 1 or 2 inches onto their height whenever someone asks them how tall they are. I know I have been told to my face by multiple men shorter than me, have told me to my face that they are like 6'3". And I'm 6'2". I'm actually just shy of 6'2". I'm about 6'1.5". But yeah, everybody's lying about their height. Every man in the world is frauding on their height. I think women are frauding on their height too, even though height doesn't even matter for them, but whatever. So the point is, what a woman thinks is a 6-foot man is actually a 5'10" man, right? When a woman talks about a 6-foot tall man, and she's picturing a 6-foot tall man in her head, she's actually picturing a man that's 5'10", because everybody exaggerates their height. So everyone's perception of height is skewered by 1 or 2 inches. So when you look at this chart, you can actually shift all the heights 2 places to the left. So if you're doing online dating, you definitely should just add 2 extra inches onto your height, And I'm sure most of you already know this, but no girl is ever going to notice when she meets you in person that you were lying about your height, because mentally she's already adding 2 inches onto your height when she pictures you. So, she might notice if you're literally the same exact height as her, but even then she probably wouldn't notice, because she probably also thinks that she herself is 2 inches taller than she really is. Because again, women are bad at judging the size of things. They just don't know how big or long or tall anything is, like any object in the world. There was a meme going around a while ago. I don't know how many of y'all saw this, but it was like, if you ask a woman how tall a street light is, she'll give you an absolutely ridiculous guess, like 100 feet or something like that. When the reality is, street light, I don't even know how tall they are. Obviously it varies, but it's probably more like 10 to 15 feet. If you're talking about interstate lights, yeah, maybe like 20 feet, I don't know, but definitely not 100 feet. But again, women are bad at judging the height of things or just the size of things in general. So if you actually want to approach girls in person and you have a decent face, but you're kind of short and you see data like this and you get discouraged from approaching, maybe you should just try it anyways, because while girls do care about height and they do have very unrealistic standards, they actually don't care about height as much as you would think just by looking at the data, because this data is based on women's own perception of a man's height, and they're wrong when they judge a man's height. So, yeah. And that relates to the other thing that I think most of you are not considering when you look at data like this, and that is that when a woman pictures the perfect man in her head, he's tall and good looking, as in he has a good looking face. So even though a 6'6" man seems to be the ideal height for female attraction, if his face isn't up to par, then he'll still be invisible to women. And that's how it is with me. I'm 6'2", and a lot of women will tell you 6'2" is their ideal height, or it's in their ideal height range when they think of the perfect man. But they're not thinking of me because I'm ugly. They're thinking of an attractive, good-looking, charming 6'2" man, not me. So I'm still invisible to women. So with a chart like this, what these bars actually represent is the percentage of facially attractive men at a given height that are included in a woman's preferences. Because a facially unattractive man, again, is still invisible to women no matter how tall he is. Now, I know that's not 100% true. Like, a true 6'5" man can get away with being a bit less facially attractive than his 5'11" counterpart. And if their faces are equally attractive, of course, women are going to go for the taller guy. But if you compare a 6'5" guy with, say, a 5 out of 10 face to a 5'11" guy with a 6 out of 10 face, women are choosing the 5'11" guy every time. Because without facial attractiveness, height is nothing, okay? So all you copers out there that, face doesn't even matter if you're tall, it's not true. Just be tall theory, not true. Not true. You've got to have face. You've got to have face. And obviously, there are limits to what I'm saying. If you're below 5'6" as a man, your facial attractiveness isn't going to carry you. Your facial attractiveness below 5'6" just really doesn't matter much at that point. You really have to have both, right? You have to have a certain level of facial attractiveness, and you got to be at least like 5'6" or taller to even hope to have a chance with the average woman. And obviously, the shorter you are, the more facial attractiveness you need at a minimum to have any success with women. And I know I'm not saying anything groundbreaking here, but from looking at my comment section, sometimes you would think that height is the only thing that matters, or at least that's what a lot of you seem to think. So yeah, it's not. And seriously, just scroll through the comment section on any of my videos and you'll find dozens of people accusing me of being a fake cell or just dismissing everything I say, because apparently if you're 6'2", there is absolutely no way you could have any trouble with women. I never deny that my height gives me some advantage. Obviously it does, but the fact of the matter is I have so many other things working against me. I'm still invisible to women, even with my height. And I don't know why y'all seem to think 6'2" is like super tall and like the perfect height, but it's really not. If I go out in the public, like if I go to the grocery store, I'll almost definitely see at least 1 or 2 guys taller than me. So 6'2" isn't even that tall, but Yeah, if you put hair on my head, then I might be like a 5 out of 10 in the face, but I'm bald, and without hair, my face is more like a 3 out of 10, or maybe even worse. Because really, and this is very important, so pay attention to what I'm about to say here, because face only tells part of the story. When people talk about how good looking a person's face is, they really mean how good looking a person's entire head is. It's just that since most people have hair, you don't really consider the entire head because most of it is hidden. So all you can really see with most people is the front of their face. But with me, everybody can see my entire head. I am exposed. All of my cranial flaws lie bare for all to see. So forget about facial attractiveness, because that is only a small part of the equation. When you take my face and skull shape and skull size and all that into account and actually consider my actual full head attractiveness, there's no way I'm higher than a 3 out of 10. I truly believe I am not just sub 5, but definitely sub 4 at best if you consider my entire head in the equation. Let's stop talking about face. That should not be the conversation. When people talk about which is more important, face or height, it's a flawed question. We should never be talking about face as if that's such a huge factor in a person's attractiveness, because it's the whole damn head that matters. The face is only a part of it. And yes, the face is probably the most important part in most cases, because again, if you have hair covering up most of your head, then your face is the only part of your head that people can actually see. Then of course, in that case, your face is the most important part of your overall attractiveness. But when you're bald like I am, face is not the only thing to be considered. It's your head. And I actually think that's why, there are some men out there that are still good looking even though they're bald. I mean, you can look at like Bruce Willis or Jason Statham, and even in those cases, they'd probably be better looking with hair, but they're still not bad looking as bald men. But I think that's because, those are two of the rare examples of guys that, they have a good face and their entire skull shape and skull size and all that is all good looking. So even though they're bald, it doesn't affect them as much. They're still good looking because they still got a good looking head overall. But most guys are more like me, whereas, when they go bald, even if they had a great looking face, they go bald and it's like, what are the chances you have every feature of your face looks good and every feature of your whole head, 360 degrees around, all looks good? The chances decrease because more and more of your head is actually showing. So I think you all get what I'm saying here, Being bald sucks. I mean, I guess that's basically the point of everything I'm saying, but yeah, I just think a lot of you are really overrating height as like the be all end all of male attractiveness. And I understand why a lot of you think that, especially if you're a shorter guy. I can understand why you might think that because again, I fully admit 100% a man that's 6'2" or taller, he's going to be able to get away with being less attractive in the face. But even if a man is 6'6", 6'4", whatever you think is the number one most preferable height to females, even if a man is at that height, if his face is sub 5, he's not going to have much luck with women. In fact, he's still sub 5. If you're sub 5, you're sub 5. If you're sub 5 at 6'5", you're sub 5 at 5'5". The only exception, if you were like a 4.9 at 5'5", then you put that same head and face on a 6'5" frame, that 4.9 might go up to a 5.1. So yeah, in that case, you wouldn't be a sub 5. But yeah, height is absolutely important. One of the most important things when it comes to male looks. And I can't even really say, that face or height is more important than the other. And I don't know that they're equally important, but both are key. They're both crucial. In today's dating market, you've really got to have both. You've got to be tall and you've got to be good looking. And the taller you are, the less good looking facially you need to be. the shorter you are, the better good looking you need to be. But you know, you can also say that the better looking your face is, the less height you need to have, you know? So it really goes both ways. Feel free to, because I am really interested to read the comments on this video, because I know all the regular Just Be Tall crowd is going to come out in full force. And, you know, maybe I've managed to convince some of you, and now the comments will shift again to more of the JBW comments I usually get, because that's my entire comment section on every single video. And I'm sure a lot of you have noticed this, is just a constant string of JBW, JBT, JBW, Just Be Tall, Just Be Tall, JBW, 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 Just Be Tall, JBW, Just Be Tall. This is all people, you know, fake sell, JBW, fake sell, Just Be Tall, fake sell, you know. I'm tired of it. So I really hope that this video has managed to convince some of you, but I know it probably didn't, so whatever.